Hi, KOIN 6 meteorologist Josh Cozart here with the latest update on the devastating wildfires that we are currently seeing burn and scorch much of Southern California, right around the Los Angeles area. So thank you for joining us again for this KOIN Now special live edition. We are live currently on KOIN.com, also on Facebook and on YouTube. Be sure to ask any of the questions that you may have concerning the wildfires in Southern California, and we will try to get those answered for you live right here on this KOIN Now special edition. So let's go ahead. Let's give you back those pictures of just the incredible sights being seen right now from the air. Again, these fires burning just outside of the Los Angeles, California area, unfortunately getting underway early yesterday as we are talking about wind gusts nearing about 100 miles per hour, tipping that scale in many cases. So any fires that start will spread rapidly in these conditions. Of course, this view given to you via our sister station down in Los Angeles, KTLA. So just some incredible sights being seen right now. We have all of the latest updates also on KOIN 6 News starting at 4 o'clock. You can just really kind of see the devastation, not only being seen across much of the area, but the pollutants, the air quality suffering greatly as well. You can see some of the city lights there off in the distance, but unfortunately we've been getting reports of so many celebrities among other individuals who live in Southern California that have now lost their homes due to this fire. Multiple fires, I should say, that are currently burning again in the Los Angeles area. All of this underway within about the past 24 to 48 hours. Again, yesterday morning is when we started to see a lot of them spark. I mean, sights like this, just so devastating. Ominous to see the flames and the city lights. These fires are so close to so many communities here, again, in the Southern California area. And occasionally we'll have that map kind of pop up on these live views to give you a little bit of a lay of the land. But just truly some devastating sights being seen right now across that area. We'll give you another picture. So the images that you're seeing right now below us, those are live. Downtown Los Angeles there off in the distance. But just to the side of us, these are some of the conditions that we were able to see over the Southern California area from earlier today. The GOES 18 satellite really depicting that all of that wildfire smoke is continuing to push its way out over the Pacific Ocean. So steering clear of a lot of Southern California, with the exception of Los Angeles, actually picking up on a lot of it right now. And it looks like either this helicopter is going to refuel because they've been flying over these fires for quite some time, or we're moving to another fire to kind of get the latest information and sights right now, because there are multiple large fires currently burning out towards the Los Angeles area. So again, just some destructive sights unfortunately being seen across much of that region. I want to take a closer look right now at our air quality as well. That's where we have actually seen some improvements. Again, likely, unfortunately, because these winds are starting to gust once more. So Los Angeles falling back to the unhealthy for sensitive groups category. We were back at the unhealthy, if not even the very unhealthy category earlier today as well. So just truly devastating sights being seen. And you want to limit your time spent outside. I know there's a lot of evacuation orders that are currently underway, so trying to get the upper hand on that as well. So definitely keeping a very close eye on these. We've also gotten word from the AP that there is a brand new fire, unfortunately, burning. And we'll try to get you those images as well with our feed going down. I'm going to try to get a brand new one pulled up for us to give you the latest sights really kind of through that area as this devastation just continues. And here's another feed I just pulled up. Again, coming in from our sister station, just truly devastating sights. Homes going up in flames. The tough mental decision that the fire crews have to undergo during this situation is that they have to say, you know, we can't save this structure. We can't save this house, this school, this office space. We've got to move on to the next bigger blaze to try to get the upper hand to maybe prevent other individuals' property from being burned as well. So just even the mental toll of that, I can only imagine, is so devastating. Some of the celebrities, just because it's widely able to be accessed, Paris Hilton saying that she watched her Malibu home go up in flames on live television. I just can't even imagine being in that situation to see that. And that's not the case for just celebrities, but for so many people around the Southern California area and Los Angeles at this point in time, just truly devastating to see sights just like this. I can't even imagine it. We'll give you a bit of a live, bigger picture of this as I kind of weave through maybe some of your comments here. Kimmy says this is nuts. Isn't it January? Why is this happening at this scale? Well, unfortunately, the Santa Ana winds are one of the biggest culprits for this, starting these blazes. Yes, we've seen some strong atmospheric rivers hit the western half of the country, which is very typical for the December, January months. That's the big kind of watershed moment for places like Los Angeles. Unfortunately, it's been drier out towards the Los Angeles area, and I can actually pull up here on some of our graphics and show you that we are still under a drought situation for parts of Los Angeles down to San Diego. This is where a moderate drought still remains. So for Kimmy, who's asking, why is this happening in January? It's because drought still is persistent. We've seen improvements out towards places like Bakersfield, but once you get a little further south of that, we haven't seen the excessive rain that a lot of us have seen through northern parts of California, even the Sierra Nevadas, parts of the Pacific Northwest as well, all seeing sites like this. So definitely a devastating situation. And then you tack on those gusty winds, and that just creates even more of an issue. And any fires that start can quickly spread. So it's a lot of these embers. They are able to travel miles, still staying alive, the embers. And then they drop into a brand new location and start and spread a new fire. So it really is just like a big snowball effect, and unfortunate sights to be seen in that regard, as well as our camera crew kind of readjusts here. Again, this is an ongoing situation across much of that area, and just truly devastating to see. We'll take that full as our feed. Again, these are so kind of intertwined and so fluid at this point in time, where unfortunately these sites are just unfolding right in front of our eyes, the devastation, unfortunately. I'll go ahead and kind of take some of our feeds live here as you bear with us. I'm going to just kind of go through some of your other questions, comments, and concerns. Kristen says it's like a virus. Unfortunately, it is. These sites just tearing through rapidly the Los Angeles area. And I also want to show you on one of our maps here that these blazes are burning so brightly that we are seeing them from space. The GOES 18 satellite picking up on that heat signature for the Palisades fire, the Hearst fire, the Eaton fire. Again, all of these just to the north of the Los Angeles area. Again, as these images just truly jaw-dropping, to say the least. The good news is, though, our winds have slowed a bit. Again, they were nearing about 100 miles per hour earlier in the day. So that's maybe helped the spread a little bit, but we are still holding on to those relatively low humidity values. We're talking about single digits as far as the relative humidity goes. It's warm, it's dry, it's Southern California, and this is January, not typically our fire season. We typically see that before all of these atmospheric rivers push their way into the region. So just truly some devastating sights to be seen, again, coming into the Los Angeles area. If you're just now seeing this live, be sure to share it with your Facebook friends, or share the link if you're watching on YouTube or KOIN.com. That way we can get this information out and really just kind of come together as a community and understand that this is something that everybody's eyes should be on, and our hearts and prayers and everything really go out to our friends in Southern California right now. Just truly devastating to see. And I'm just going to kind of read through some of these. Brandon is sending in just a broken heart emoji. It's hard to see these images, especially as we're starting off the brand new year. Robert is just chiming in here on our KOIN Facebook page, saying record-breaking winds and dry conditions contribute to it. Plenty of prayers. I agree with that, Robert. This is something, unfortunately, that has become so explosive. And these are all happening because of the hot, dry, and windy conditions. I'll kind of give you a little bit of a forecast here as far as those winds really kind of go. We'll break this down and just kind of show you. I'll backtrack it just a little bit for us. There you go. So the black boxes, those are the relative humidity values that we are currently seeing at 9%. That is bone dry for the Los Angeles area. Riverside, not much better at 13. Oxnard at 36. Bakersfield, considerably better at about 77%. But again, you go far enough north, and that's where the drought situation isn't necessarily a cause for concern. We're talking about the Los Angeles area that's still, all the way down to San Diego, still under a moderate drought. And we've seen the extreme drought side of things for us here in the Pacific Northwest, and never seen explosive fires like this. But unfortunately, it was those record-breaking winds tipping the scale of over 100 miles per hour. That, of course, this is all speculation. We haven't actually come to figure out what started these fires. A lot of the brand new ones started by embers that were suspended in the air for miles, traveling, landing in another dry area, windy area, and starting and spreading rapidly as well. But potentially, kind of like our 2020 fires here in western Oregon, where we saw those gusty Labor Day winds come out of the Cascades. They brought down a lot of the telephone poles and electric lines, I should say, sparking and then rapidly spreading those fires. So we can only assume that was the case for a lot of these, and that they were not human-caused, as most wildfires are human-caused. Again, we don't know the start or spread of these. That's going to be long down the road. Right now, emergency crews are really just trying to get the upper hand and stopping these blazes, trying to get containment, because there's not a lot of containment with these, unfortunately. So, with time, we will be able to tell what actually started these fires. What we know is that they are being spread by those gusty winds and the dry conditions, the relatively dry conditions. So as I kind of put this in the motion for us, you can really kind of see that the winds, typically, as we see winds in the evening hours, taper back. This is a snapshot of about Thursday. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., still, unfortunately, seeing some of those downsloping winds, the Santa Ana winds that come out of the Sierra Nevadas. They move over dry desert land, so they dry out even more. And then they move into the areas in these valleys. And I'll show you a graphic here in just a moment that kind of depicts this a little bit nicer for us. The good news is, and again, this is just a snapshot, trying to be optimistic for the Los Angeles area, where maybe a little bit of an onshore flow is possible tomorrow afternoon, and that would be beneficial because it would help to kind of push some of that sea breeze in, crank up our relative humidity values, and decrease the fire threat. So that is the hopes. We would like to see an onshore flow, and at least for the Pacific Northwest, we are anticipating a bit of a cold front, unfortunately only going to be impacting Northern California and not necessarily those of us in Southern California. So devastating sights to still be seen there. And I'll try and let me pull up our other image here just so you can see. I'd love to get back that helicopter view, but it appears that it's still currently unavailable, as I'm assuming that they were probably refilling because they have been flying for the past several hours. So that would be my greatest thought on that regard. So we'll just go ahead and throw back our live shots from on the ground. Still just devastating sights to be seen as homes go up in blaze, in flames, I should say. As far as, and you can see reporters here, that's with CBS, KCAL, the local station there, our feed coming through. Regardless, just devastating sights to be seen. And I'll pull up this 2-box again, likely reporting where you can see just ending the CBS Evening News, where they were likely doing some reports down there. Regardless, let's get you over to the Santa Ana winds, and we'll kind of break that down for you, as it really is just a very fluid situation. I'll go ahead and take this here. So the Santa Ana winds, basically, we have high pressure over the western half of the country right now. And I'll go ahead and kind of put a pause on this. We have high pressure over the western half of the country. We also have a low pressure system, and those are helping to funnel a lot of the winds up and over the Cascades. Very similar to the downsloping winds that you might be familiar with for us here in the Pacific Northwest. We've talked a lot about them on KOIN 6 News over the past several years as they become a little bit more common, just those winds going up and over the mountains. Once that air descends, it warms up, it speeds up, but in particular, the Santa Ana winds, they start to move over those desert areas. So that's where the air only continues to dry out once more. And then as it's channeled through some of those very narrow channels of valley locations, it's basically like if you've ever clogged a hose and you know that the pressure just starts to fire out of that water hose. That's the exact same thing that's happening with these winds, and that's why we see them become so gusty out towards the Los Angeles area, out towards Malibu, all of the areas that we are seeing these flames really start to spark up. Unfortunately, really starting to get underway. So again, just some incredible sights coming into us here out of Southern California. If you're just now joining us, these are live images that you are seeing to the top left-hand corner of your screen. Again, these are sites that we have been able to see from space. The GOES 18 satellite picking up on that smoke plume, just pushing all of that smoke out over the Pacific, which is good news in that regard, but it also indicates that we are seeing still those Santa Ana winds, although they are not as strong as what we experienced yesterday, tipping the scale of over 100 miles per hour, but still just some devastating sights to be seen out that direction. And I'm just going to take a moment to kind of look through, again, some of our Facebook comments, I should say, at this point in time. So yeah, Austin Elizabeth Young says on our KOIN 6 Facebook page, I feel so bad for all of the animals that have nowhere to run to. A lot of the wildlife, yeah, definitely you can imagine that this would be a scary sight for them. Not only that, but also our four-legged friends, our family members, our cats, our dogs. A lot of people may be making that tough decision of do they have to stay or can they come with them? And of course, I hope the later, where they can be taken with them, because this is just unimaginable for so many, and unfortunately imaginable for so many of us Oregonians and Washingtonians who have had to deal with the wildfires that we have seen over the years. The West Coast just plagued with that, unfortunately, because of our ever-changing climate. Things are getting hotter, they're getting drier, inconsistency with the rain, and that's exactly a good combination of what we are seeing right now in Los Angeles with these just devastating sights coming in for us. Kristen Muir saying, just holy moly, yeah, there's unfortunately not much more that we can say about this when we see these sights. Again, we got a CBS reporter local down there in Los Angeles with that house being trying to be protected, or the one adjacent to it. You can see the fire crews. I can only imagine the struggle on their psyche to have to abandon a blaze when it's their job, their sole duty to put out burning structures, but knowing that they just don't have the manpower to be able to take care of every single structure and make the tough decision to move to another one and try to save it before it goes up in flames. Definitely a tough situation for a lot of folks down there. We have our very own Oregon crews going down there. Tualatin Valley fire crew heading down to Southern California to repay the favor from when Californian fire crews came up here in 2020 and over the past several years to help us out. Now returning the favor. Of course, you can read much more about that right now at KOIN.com as well. But just truly devastating sights coming out of that area at this point in time. I'm going to give you just a little bit of a view of where that threat still kind of persists. So 50 to 80 mile per hour winds helping to keep, along with the low relative humidity values, keep that red flag warning in effect for much of Southern California. This is stretching all the way from Los Angeles down to San Diego through 6 p.m. tomorrow. So sites like this, unfortunately, going to be ongoing through the overnight hours and much of the day tomorrow as well. That's where the increased wildfire threat still remains. Now, as far as our air quality goes, seeing some improvements, but, it's hard to say, but maybe that's because those winds are still remaining, where we got the Santa Ana winds kind of blowing a lot of that smoke and haze out of the area, out over the Pacific Ocean. it's quite likely that by the time we get to the overnight time frame that we could potentially see some of those winds start to settle, thus settling a lot of the wildfire smoke back down into a lot of those valley locations. So likely going to be seeing this air quality continue to diminish over the next several hours, next several days, as these fires are not going to be mopped up and cleaned up, unfortunately, anytime soon. Our greatest hope is that fire crews can kind of get the containment around the blaze to stop it from spreading to new areas. Of course, at the top of this live feed, we were discussing how the AP was reporting a brand new fire, unfortunately sparking out towards the Hollywood Hills area, if you're familiar with Los Angeles. Again, just some of you can see quite clearly some of the images of the Palisades fire burning just outside the Malibu area, unfortunately approaching the heart of Malibu. This is along the historic 101. As I was watching some reports, a lot of the local people there say, this is a beautiful stretch of the country where people drive along the 101 from Malibu to Los Angeles, and just truly spectacular sights of not only the landscape, but also the beautiful homes, the $1 million homes that are now gone, lost to the fire. Fire crews, of course, also dealing with the lack thereof water. Not because we think of California and the water restrictions and the lack of water that we have down in that region of the country, but as these homes go up in flames, it's burning and melting their plumbing system, which means that the water associated with the homes is now just gushing out of every single home that's been burned to the ground. That means that the water pressure has significantly fallen, and so the homes that are still standing, a lot of the fire hydrants, I would assume too, have no water pressure because you're not locking in all of that water in those homes. It's now just running freely, so you don't have that water pressure to continue to battle these blazes. I've seen some images of people as well today just taking buckets of water and trying their best to overcome a lot of these flames, which very unfortunate to see as this dire situation continues to unfold. Just reading through some of your Facebook comments here again. Again, if you're just now joining us on this KOIN 6 KOIN Now Facebook Live, maybe you're watching us on YouTube as well, or even over at KOIN.com. These are just truly some devastating sights that are unfolding quite rapidly. Live before our eyes, that home, unfortunately, up in flames as the fire crews and everyone tries to get the upper hand of this. Just truly, truly devastating. I'm going to see if we've got any other feeds pulled up here of these fires. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear that anyone else is able to give us visuals at this time. Not surprising, they've been stretched thin. We've been watching helicopter footage for quite some time as well, trying to overcome a lot of these blazes. Go ahead and give you just that view once more of the flames there off in the distance, overcoming a home there again in Southern California. Truly devastating sight to be seen across the region. Again, we hopefully will be able to see some improvements as far as our winds go. This is a snapshot Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Still expecting to see some of those downsloping winds, the Santa Ana winds, as relative humidity values for Los Angeles remain around 7% tomorrow afternoon, kind of the peak of the warming part. Of course, it's winter, so it's not excruciatingly hot. We typically think about these destructive wildfires in this location of the country as more of like a September-October thing, which we already had our fair share of, now bleeding over into the brand new year. Typically the wettest point of California's season, basically. This is when we get a lot of those atmospheric rivers, of course, dry over the west coast, as much of the central plains kind of are engulfed in the warmth. And I'll try to give you just a bit of a better picture on that front as well as I hop over on weather systems here. Just got to locate it. Here we go. So really kind of just seeing as it loads up for us exactly what's happening in the upper layers of the atmosphere, I should say. High pressure. So we got clockwise winds, and I'm going to do my best to kind of draw on this for us so we can get a little bit better of an idea. Just got to find my pointing tool. So high pressure, that's where we are seeing the clockwise rotation. So as those winds blow clockwise around that high, it's really kind of moving in this direction, at least in the upper layers of the atmosphere, where we are seeing the winds come down and out of the Sierra Nevadas into the lower elevations, the coastal spots of Los Angeles. And then you got a low pressure system right here with the trough. So that low also really kind of situated further to the south too, helping, because it's moving counterclockwise, really both kind of creating this funnel effect to give us those powerful Santa Ana winds that are currently coming up. And it looks like a reporter here doing a live hit. Of course, we don't have audio associated with this, but definitely seeing these devastating and destructive sights as fire crews continue to try and battle the blaze. You can see clearly here that they're doing their best to, I don't even know if they're even trying to stop the blaze of this one individual's home, or if they're just trying to keep all of the other locations wet. I would assume they're trying to take this out as well, because a lot of those embers that you see flying in the air have the potential to stay alive for miles as they're aloft in the wind and to potentially start new wildfires, unfortunately. I'll go ahead and kind of keep putting this into motion as this ridge of high pressure really continues to build over the western half of the country. Keep us on the dry side as that high pressure kind of slides further to the south, still expecting those offshore winds. We want onshore winds to help bring a lot of that Pacific moisture back inland to help fire crews. And it appears that some of these homes still trying to be protected, but it's unfortunate to say, but maybe it's only a matter of time that you see more of the homes. That's been the case over the past 24 to 48 hours, sad to say. But just so many of these communities in Southern California and northern Los Angeles just going up in flames so rapidly. I can only imagine seeing that coming your way, as again, so many of us here. And oh, there you go. So another fire just on the other side of those homes as they zoom into that. So definitely a devastating sight to be seen as the skies are just polluted. It was incredible, some of the images floating around on social media. We had them on KOIN 6 News of the sunrise this morning over Los Angeles. It looked apocalyptic. Just truly some devastating sights being seen across that area. So this, of course, all coming as much of the Central Plains, the Great Plains, they're dealing with their own threat of extreme weather in the form of bone-chilling temperatures, winter weather, ice potential as far south as parts of Texas and Oklahoma, an area that's not accustomed to this. So definitely less than ideal situation to have a situation like this where you have both extremes, fire and ice, across the country. Definitely a scary situation for so many folks. I'm going to go ahead and bring back up just that view of some of the major fires. This was about 3 hours ago or so, where we were actually picking up on the Palisades fire, the Hearst fire, and the Eaton fire from GOES 18 satellite. Just truly some devastating sights to be seen as these blazes just continue to grow exponentially. Nothing in the way of stopping them as these winds still remain destructively widespread. So just a devastating sight to be seen here as the fire crews just continue. They're not only fighting the narrow roadways of a lot of the hillsides to get into the tough terrain, but also dealing with abandoned cars as well that we've seen across much of the area as well. And just an ongoing battle for our friends down in Southern California. Of course, a lot of the Oregon crews also heading to California to help with the fires, kind of repaying the favor that so many of us, where California was heading up to help us out in 2020 and the years past as well. just trying to help out all of our West Coast members as these flames continue to just truly be devastating. I'm going to go ahead and conclude this KOIN Now live edition on all of our social platforms. Of course, we will have the latest information for you as it becomes available tonight on KOIN 6 News at 11. And then don't forget to tune in to CW. That's where we are also live for The 10, our 30 minutes show, where we will again have the latest information on these devastating wildfires in Southern California.